Favorite YouTube channels, Matt McMuscles. I absolutely love a lot of the stuff on his channel. He does a lot of like, what happened? How did this become such a train wreck? Which are always great. I'll see the title of what it is. 9 times out of 10, it's something that I was never really interested in, but I'm curious about how things got as bad as they did with it. Also, another thing that I love that he does is he's doing the worst fighting game. A lot of them, I'll be familiar with the fighting game that he's doing. A lot of them are ones that I might not have played, but just the way that he presents it makes me even more curious to actually find them and play them.
He did a crossover with one of the channels that I'm going to mention. OSW Review, the old school wrestling podcast. This is a show that's actually out of Ireland. These 3 guys, which I think they all work at a hospital. 2 of them are doctors, and one of them is like one of the lab techs. I could be completely wrong, but they've mentioned many things over the years that got me thinking that that's what these guys do. They must have met each other at lunch or something, and they found out they all like wrestling, and they became buddies, and they do this video podcast. They do a new episode periodically. It was like whenever a new one is done is when they do it. They have video from their entire show. Like we'll do like a 2-minute clip or whatever, or their whole show, they have video clips for us, and their shows can take forever. And also they have a lot of stuff that they get flagged for copyright, so they have to go re-edit it, put it back up, re-edit it, put it back up. Or we have lawyers, and they actually have their lawyer will call and clear it up. It's just guys having fun. They're just joking around, talking about what's ridiculous about certain things or what's good about it or whatever. They had Matt McMuscles on. They did a crossover with Baywatching, which is another one I'm going to mention later.
SplatterCatGaming. He just get whatever game, and sometimes there are big games, a lot of times they're indie games, and every single day he uploads a video where he showcases a game, and they're usually like 30 minutes to 45 minutes long. He'll show the intro, he'll show like kind of what an average mission or level or whatever is like, and he'll talk about it. Most of the games I've played in the last several years have been ones that I found through this guy. There was a Chinese game that I found through him that was really amazing, really interesting strategy game. It had a very 8-bit NES aesthetic, ultra deep strategy game. So I also found 2 space games that I really liked through him. Starcom Nexus. Bizarre, very strange, but really intriguing games.
Slopes Game Room. What's been catching me a lot with him is things like this. Kickstarter's biggest fails. They're great because I've done Kickstarter. Slopes just has that little bit of, I don't know if I want to say sarcasm-ish to him, or I don't know what the term would be.
I like the complete histories. Those you can like put them on and like have them run one right after the other.
I'm gonna bring up Google Larry just because he's another one to definitely listen to for a lot of information on what's gone on inside the industry.
Alison Pregler. What I found her from was that OSW did a crossover with her. She was doing a series called Baywatching. And in Baywatching, she watches episodes of Baywatch and she reviews them. From that, I learned about this ridiculous Baywatch show that I've heard about my entire life but never really looked into. She just shows how stupid Baywatch is. There's no topic that they can't ruin unintentionally. Their writers suck.
It's kind of like the Zach Morris's trash channel then.
Yes, and on top of that, it'll also do episodes of like Charmed. She does all the Star Trek shows. Star Trek's most racist episode. You want some more pop culture in a unique way with television and movies, check out Alison Pregler.
Corridor Crew. So I highly recommend them. So these are a bunch of people who are like main top visual effects people in Hollywood. So this is kind of their side hustle thing, right? They're working on all the main movies by day, but then by night, they have this whole YouTube channel. One of the things that's cool about it is that they have several ongoing series. And one of them is where they talk about, this new movie came out or the show or whatever. How did they do this stuff? They make it so that it's very clear to anyone. And then they also sometimes will invite the actual people who did it. They redid the effects from the Raiders of the Lost Ark, and they actually brought the effects people from ILM in. They talk about it, and then they actually reenact it for you. So it's really cool. So it's fun, but it's also like educational, and I feel like I have such a better appreciation for movies and shows now?
jmcrofts. He talks a lot about all the fighting games that go on today. He's actually evidently one of the competitive online fighter players. He's a big fan of like Capcom games, but he also branches out to the other ones. When I first started listening to him, I didn't really like him because I disagreed with a whole bunch of stuff. At one point, he put out a video that I think he was going over like ranking for Street Fighter games or something. And a lot of the stuff that he was talking about, I just kind of totally saw eye to eye with him. Since then, there's things I don't agree with him on in the fighting games and the fighting genre, but he definitely knows his stuff. And he definitely puts out some interesting things, broken characters, overpowered characters, difficult moves to do, to even things that like speculation on who's going to be the next characters that are going to be released for a game. He's definitely in with a community of all the other people that are doing other YouTubers that are also in the competitive world. So he crosses over a lot with them and he has matches with them. You're just looking for information just on fighters that are coming up or on even past fighters or how to play fighters. He's one of the guys I recommend going to.
CGP Gray. These are these great videos where you can learn just like random facts about like how the numbers on runways, what they mean. But he also does stuff like he has a whole thing of how to become Pope. He has multiple videos on getting rid of the penny. He has one that teaches you about how the Electoral College works, different flags around the world and flags in the United States, or he goes over the interstate highway codes.
It looks like he does it in the style of like those training classes that you take at like work. That's awesome.
His videos, they're pretty far apart. So like this guy doesn't do like a video like every week or every month even. Sometimes it goes months and months and months before you see another video from him.
Brandon James Greer. Speaking of games, this guy got his start doing just like little Pixar stuff, and then he got better and better, and he started then making these instructional videos on how to do Pixar. And then he started talking about, okay, well, why did they even have Pixar? You know, like why did old games have that? And how did it work? So he started to incorporate that history also in the videos. He's actually taken all that experience and he made his own indie game.
Yeah, I'm definitely curious to see what he puts out. You guys have to be familiar with this one, Secret Galaxy.
Oh, thank you for hitting Secret Galaxy. That was actually on my list, but if you're going to do it, I have other ones.
See, I like this guy because he is like the Guru Larry, but more in the 80s and early 90s and even I think a little bit before that too, pop culture, children's type of interest. The one that caught my attention and was the first one I saw of his was he was talking about The Last Starfighter. So he gets into those that are big names and somewhat small names, but are niche titles. He jumps on a lot of stuff that you'll remember as a kid, and he'll just break down everything about it, how it was done, what happened with it, what sort of issues there were, and so forth.
Console Wars. These two guys, they're from New Jersey. Basically, one of them is Nintendo and the other one's Sega, and they take titles that are showed up on both systems, or as they have to, comparable titles on both systems, and they basically have a competition to see which one is better. One of the guys, Dan, he's been with it since day one, but he used to have a different co-host, and then he left the show 3 or 4 years into it, and he picked up this guy, Pat, who he's been doing the show with since. My last retail job, I literally like would sit there and just watch episode after episode of Console Wars while I was waiting for customers.
I like how they do it because they do it in that whole like 90s guys hanging out style.
How to make everything. A really nifty YouTube channel where it's this guy, and he started at the beginning when he founded his YouTube channel, and he started at the most basic level technology of just digging like stuff out of the ground and whatnot, and whittling, you know, using stone to whittle wood into like certain types of tools. And then slowly, as he figures out how to make certain things, then he says, okay, I've upgraded my technology, and then he'll utilize that in further projects. And the idea is to go from ancient times as close to now as he could get. He's made, you know, fairly modern things. Like I think that was a recent video where he was talking about the precursor to guns, like in ancient China, where they had bamboo sticks and they filled them with gunpowder. Yeah, very fascinating.
Samurai Guitarist. He's got videos where he takes different types of guitars. He did this one section where he was talking about crazy guitars like the 10 string guitar. He brought in a Mando guitar, all these different styles of guitars, and evaluated them. He does a lot of things like gadgets as well too, that he gives his overall impression on. His videos are a whole lot of fun to just even watch. If you want to get into guitar, I'd say check out his channel. If you're already in guitar and you just want to kind of get information on things you could add to the experience or more information, check it out.
Road Guy Rob. So this guy, he goes around the country and he looks at interesting road setups. He actually did a series of videos in this one town where he really liked how just the layout of the whole town was streetwise. He's been up to Connecticut. I think he's been to California. He's going all over the country. And anytime that anybody has like a new setup, maybe they built a new really expensive bridge, or he just wants to show two different ways of doing something, he'll go and actually like get footage of it and show it. And he gets recognized too when he's out there sometimes. Like people, they know who he is. You learn what these engineers look at, how so much is learned, and how basically you'll learn enough where you could drive down the roads in your neighborhood and maybe get pissed off that they're not following some of this stuff.
This aged great. And it is just a couple of buddies. One buddy is like a younger guy, like the vast majority of movies, he's never seen them. The older buddy introduces him. He gives a brief synopsis, like anywhere from like 3 to 10 minutes. All the buddy has to do is go on the guy's explanation. And he purposefully explains it in the most like obtuse way to make it super, super funny. Imagine if you had to describe, for example, like Weekend at Bernie's, but you couldn't be literal. You couldn't give it direct, right? You had to like do a roundabout, weird way to try to like give a convoluted explanation. That's kind of what this guy does to like trip his friend up, and it ends up being super hilarious.
All right, with that would be the first part of this. Or maybe in a couple months, get some more of the channels that we didn't get to go over this time.